Well, this is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. I have my book tie on, and I'm going to talk about books. I have books behind me, but the book of books is the Bible. It has 66 books in it. It's amazing to me, and I talk to lots of people, that I talk with people that will read hundreds of books in a year's time, and yet have not read the Bible through. 66 books in the Bible. Wow. Had a man tell me not long ago that they have read thousands, and they have, of books, but they've never read the Bible through. One book at a time. One book at a time. Did you know that you can't exhaust a book of the Bible? You cannot exhaust it. It's not like reading a stupid novel that has a bunch of fables and nonsense in it, and ends in nonsense, starts with nonsense, ends in nonsense, fills your head with a bunch of junk, with a bunch of trash words, and a bunch of innuendo and different things that, in this day and age, the trashy mind that writes the books write trashy books. And so therefore, you can't even, I can't even scan. I won't scan one. I can't scan one. I tried before. I'd scan and say, I think I'll see what this book is about, what it looks like. And I read into it in the first or second page, and you got cuss words in it, you got immorality in it, and that's what it's all about. That's not what the Bible is the perfect book. It's the book, it does list about immorality, but it tells you that immorality is wrong. It doesn't tell you that it's the thing we ought to do. And no wonder we've got perverted people out here today that read these books that are perverted. Let me tell you what George Washington wrote. If you have been around homeschooled or church schooled children, they are taught things that the average student in the public school doesn't get taught. But this one thing George Washington said: it is impossible to rightly govern the world without God and the Bible. That was said by George Washington, the President of the United States. By the way, during that period of time, when they came in to the Oval Office in the morning, they had a prayer meeting. They had a special room. They had a prayer meeting in that room. They had a church service in that building. They had a room that was set up for a church service in the building, in the White House. God was reverenced by our forefathers. Listen to this one by Thomas Jefferson. A stewardess, personal, of the sacred volume will make better citizens, better fathers, and better husbands. A steward of reading the 66 books of the Bible will make better stewards, better husbands, and better fathers, and better people. John Quincy Adams said this: the first and almost only book deserving of universal attention is the Bible. John Quincy Adams. So this is the universal book. It is good anywhere in the whole world, for any country, any people, any nation, any individual person, anywhere in the world. This one book is the book that fits every single human being on the earth can gain from this book. And yet, it is one of the most sold books on the market, but yet one of the most neglected books that was ever bought. Wow. Would you go to a store and buy a book and bring it home and lay it on the shelf and never read it? This is what happens to the Bible time and time and time again. We need to read it through at least one time. Andrew Jackson said, It is the rock on which our republic resides. Wow. Our republic, the United States of America, was founded by the Word of God and on the Word of God. We separated ourselves from the King of England. We separated ourselves from forced religion, from governmental religion, by starting the United States of America. Listen to what Woodrow Wilson said. Said, a man has deprived himself of the best there is in the world who has deprived himself of the knowledge of the Bible. Wow. He's saying he's deprived himself of the very best there is in the whole known world, that has deprived himself of studying and reading the Bible. Wow. Herbert Hoover. There is no other book so various as the Bible, not one so full of consecrated wisdom. Herbert Hoover. Not one. There is not one other book in the world written to take the place of any one of the 66 books between these two covers of this Holy Bible. The word holy was put on it by men, but it is holy. It is God's holy word. God's holy word. Look at this here. Ulysses S. Grant. Wow. To the influence of this book, we are indebted for the progress made in civilization. And to this we must look as our guide in the future. Wow. Since Ulysses S. Grant, the United States of America has tried every way under the sun to get away from the book. And we find we cannot turn the television news on without, and I live near a fairly large city, Atlanta, Georgia, and 4 or 5 shootings every night. Turn the news on in the morning, early news, 6 o'clock news in the morning. Wow. They're still investigating. The lights are flashing all over the city in different areas. Find a dead body over here in the park, a dead body over there in this street, dead body over there in that street, dead body over here. Somebody just now is shooting somebody. Wow. The earth and the place is getting out of control. Out of control. All other books are of little importance comparison to the Holy Scriptures. Alexander Gruden said that. Are you a reader of secular books? Try the Bible. You can't exhaust the Bible. It has a theme. And this theme goes from cover to cover to cover to cover, book to book to book. From Genesis to Revelations, the theme of the Bible is the same. Even though it's in many different stories. If you want to be a student of natural science, study the Bible. God said He made everything after its own kind. Every seed after its own kind. The seed of a tree. The seed of a rhubarb. The seed of a cucumber. The seed of a squash. The seed of a tomato. Every seed is after its own kind. Every seed's after its own kind. God made those seeds after their own kind. And we can study that nature of the Holy Scriptures and what it says about it. All the stories of the Bible being put together are backed up by God. All of the stories of all the way through the King James Version is backed up by God and was put in there. We've got just in the end, I love the summary right here. The summary of 2 Timothy. We see it was written from Rome in 68 AD in this summary. How many books tell you so much about the book that you can read the summary and pretty much know that the book belongs where it is? It appeared Paul was released from prison after his record in Acts 28. This was about 64 AD that he traveled 5 or 6 years going eastward to Macedonia and to Asia Minor. Now we want to follow the history of this man Paul. And if you are a historian, you like history, get in the Bible. They got more history. Matter of fact, the history of the whole world is in the Bible. The history of the world is in the Bible. And he traveled there to these places. And the summary of Romans, where Paul had went through all the things that he went through in the book of Romans. And the pastoral epistles, 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus, written to somebody about how to act as a preacher, how to act in a pastoral manner. And these are given out of the Bible. And teachers that are good teachers can learn how to teach by learning how the disciples taught, how Jesus taught. You know, I've got a Bible. I have a lot of Bibles. One of the Bibles that I preach out of the most is a King James Version, and it's put together by a preacher and some other people, and it's a Dake Bible, and I preach out of it a lot, even though perhaps some of the side notes in it I would not 100% agree with the man that put the side note in there, but I've got to agree with the scriptures and his average breakdown of the scriptures in it. And we need good study Bibles. We need a Bible we can go to a side reference and we can run a rabbit over there and go from one place to another. Do you know that many verses in Genesis chapter 1, you can trace them all the way up to Revelations? All the way up to Revelations. The beginning is in Genesis and the end is in Revelation. And the very same verse in Genesis is culminated, the end of it is in Revelation. Wow. The beginning of the earth is in Genesis. The end of the earth is recorded in Revelation. The beginning of days, the beginning of many things is recorded. In human life is recorded in there. And the end of human life on the earth, is recorded in, the end of human life on earth is recorded in Revelations, where it says, there will be no more heaven and earth, this one, and a new heaven and earth will be. This heaven and earth will pass away, and there will be a new heaven and earth. You say, Brother Peter, how do you know this stuff? Because I read the 66 books of the Bible. I study the 66 books of the Bible. I can honestly tell you this. I just went through 1st, 2nd Timothy and Titus again, and it was almost like brand new to me, and I've read it multiple times. But as I read it again and refresh my mind in it, it's like brand new. It's like brand new all over again. And that's just the way the Bible is. The 66 books of the Bible. If you're not in them, get in them. Get in them today. Get started and go through and learn what the Bible has to say for you and for others. Our time's come and gone. It's Brother Peter, tidbits from the Word. See you next time. Bye.